Right now at 7 o'clock, an abandoned building in the middle of downtown San Jose that's been a magnet for trouble for years.
It's just a total waste of space and resources for it to go empty.
City officials say the owners have been MIA, and now they're taking them to court. As thousands rally across the Bay Area to stand up for science, we hear from a former federal worker who got one of the dreaded layoff emails.
Like at this point, I don't have much faith in the federal government.
How these job cuts could impact California's infrastructure projects, as well as what you may find at your local grocery store. And they have a chance at winning a state title. But first, it's revenge for a San Francisco high school basketball team as they face off against a rival this weekend.
I just want to whoop their butt and send them home like they sent me home last year.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. An empty, boarded up building that's been left to deteriorate in downtown San Jose. City officials say it's been attracting a lot of trouble, and the owners just won't do anything about it. So the building sits on the corner of East Santa Clara and North 2nd Street, and now the city is taking legal action. So our Devin Feely is here now with more of the details here. Devin.
Yeah, Jules, imagine owning a piece of prime real estate in the downtown of any major city, and then for whatever reason, just letting it sit empty year after year after year as it falls further and further into disrepair. But that's exactly what's happened in downtown San Jose, and the city and the mayor are fed up.
The building has sat vacant and neglected in the heart of downtown San Jose, at the intersection of Santa Clara and 2nd Street for nearly 2 decades. An empty building full of potential to the eyes of Lorraine Zeller.
It's just a total waste of space and resources for it to go empty.
According to the city, the building is unlikely to reach its full potential under the current owners. In paperwork filed with the court by the city attorney's office, the building is described as vacant, blighted, and a public nuisance.
Even if the building is not going to be rented out, it needs to be properly maintained. Failing to do that drags down the whole community. It harms the neighboring small businesses. It makes people less likely to want to be in downtown.
Mayor Matt Mahan says the building has not had a tenant since 2008, and the city has had to board it up itself more than a dozen times to prevent break-ins and keep the homeless from camping out there. According to the complaint, in 2006, the city's redevelopment agency loaned the owners $1.35 million to, quote, rehabilitate, improve, and lease the building. An unkept promise, according to the mayor, nearly 2 decades later.
It isn't fair to the broader community to have to live with empty, blighted buildings for years on end. I'm done with it. The community's done with it. There has to be accountability.
The city is seeking nearly $1 million still unpaid on the original loan, as well as the cost of the upkeep and maintenance of the building over the years. Lorraine says when she looks at the building, she sees the cost of years of inaction.
My strong preference is for it to be used as affordable housing.
Now, according to the complaint, this is a family-owned business. It's owned by James and Grace Yu and their son David. We did reach out to them today at their offices in San Jose and in Fremont, asking them for comments. So far, we have not heard back. And that's also the problem. They haven't been answering the city either.
Okay. All right, Devin, thank you. Tens of thousands of commuters in the Bay Area, actually the South Bay right now, are scrambling to find a different way to get around on Monday. VTA workers are planning to walk off the job. Talks between the transit union Local 265 and the VTA broke down after the union rejected the agency's proposal of a 9.3% wage increase over 3 years. VTA says it can't afford the union's demand of a 19.1% raise. A bus operator who's been with the transit agency for 35 years tells us the strike won't be good for anyone.
It's not fair for the people, for the passengers, and then for, we're just trying to get a fair contract, But I guess that's the nature of the beast,
VTA says paratransit service will continue, but there will be no bus or light rail service. If the strike happens, it would be the biggest service disruption since the VTA mass shooting in 2021 and the agency's first strike ever. Scientists are coming out of the lab and into the streets. San Francisco and Berkeley joined a nationwide rally pushing back against federal cuts to science, climate, and government research agencies.
Science is good economy. Science is good for you and me.
Hundreds of doctors and scientists rallied at Civic Center Plaza in San Francisco demanding the Trump administration stop the freeze on research funding. We heard from a cancer survivor who saw firsthand the importance of medical advancements.
I've had 2 separate occurrences of breast cancer with 2 separate diagnoses. The difference in my treatment between 2009 and 2020 was phenomenal, and it's all based on science.
Since taking office, the Trump administration has laid off thousands of federal employees at science agencies, including the CDC, NASA, and the National Institutes of Health. Hundreds of workers from NOAA have also been laid off as part of DOJ's cuts, including some right here in California. The agency is not only responsible for daily weather forecasts and storm warnings, it also manages fisheries. Cecil Hannibal caught up with a worker in Sacramento who was given his walking papers and has more on the impact of his departure.
I'm not going to fight for my job back. Like, at this point, I don't have much faith in the federal government to, follow through with their promises. They promised me a lot, and they, left me with this. So
Caleb Wagner grabbed the last of his belongings after being fired from NOAA last Thursday. He heard rumors, but without notice, an email came to be out of the building in 1 hour.
everyone that was on probation got cut from NOAA.
That's every employee with the agency for less than a year. The hydraulic engineer left his family back in Michigan to be here. Now he's got to cough up $9 grand to get out of his lease or find another job in Sacramento.
Firing probation area employees across the board has never been done before in my experience.
We met with Maria Rea, who retired from NOAA Fisheries in 2022. The former regional administrator says losing people like Caleb is dangerous.
So if those people aren't there, those projects, the obvious consequences, those projects will just sit.
Projects like constructing dams, levees, or even bridges over rivers all could be stalled if NOAA Fisheries is short-staffed. But beyond critical infrastructure, NOAA also regulates commercial fishing.
They look at, science, and they have to write rules based on science each year. So if there aren't staff to do that, that could easily impact fish that you see at the grocery store, both in terms of just what's there and the price of that.
We reached out to NOAA Fisheries regional office, who confirmed 5 employees were fired. But staff tells us this is just the first round of cuts.
There's more cuts on the way, so everyone up in the office right now is wondering if they are next.
NOAA declined to comment on personnel issues, so it's unclear how many employees in the Central Valley office or even nationally were fired in total. Caleb tells us his already small team lost 4 engineers, seemingly overnight.
According to a recent CBS poll, 51% of Americans approved of President Trump's efforts to cut staff at government agencies. Most Republicans were for it, while Democrats were against it. One of the founders of the local band, Tony Tone, died today. And if you don't recognize his name, his influence is really hard to miss. Up next, how he's being remembered tonight. And 2 months after the LA County wildfires, we're going to hear from fire victims about where the recovery stands now.
Pleasant weather across the Bay Area today as temperatures warmed up as we finish the work week. Back up into the 60s for most of us and close to 60 along the coast. We'll keep it going into the weekend, but next week brings some changes. Details coming up in the First Alert forecast.
Family, friends, and fans are mourning the death of Dwayne Wiggins, who died at the age of 64 after a battle with bladder cancer. He was one of the founding members of the Grammy-nominated R&B group Tony, who helped put Oakland's music scene on the map. That was one of their big hits back in the early 90s that put them on the charts. Wiggins was a vocalist and a guitarist. The band later broke up, but they reunited just 2 years ago. Now here he is with his friend, record producer Larry Batiste. The two went to the same high school in Oakland. And Batiste says even as Wiggins rose to fame, he never forgot where he came from when it came to his community and as well as his music.
he was a very roots person. He was really about the groove and the sound of Oakland. We have a sound in Oakland that's West Coast, and he does R&B in a very special way. And he really was heavy on paying tribute and acknowledging his ancestors and his roots and the people that came before him.
And Wiggins also paid it forward. Here is an old photo of him with his children, Mike Dirnt of Green Day and young Kehlani with the pink hair, just one of the many up-and-coming artists that he helped mentor. He also worked with Zendaya, her, and even Destiny's Child. It's been 2 months since the devastating wildfires in Southern California wiped out entire neighborhoods. The Palisades fire on the coast and the Eaton fire in Altadena erupted during historic Santa Ana winds, killing 29 people. There is still a long recovery ahead. The Eaton fire, it scorched more than 14,000 acres and destroyed more than 9,000 structures. Today, many are still digging through the rubble of their old homes before their neighborhood is completely cleared. One couple said this is likely their last visit, and they're hoping to find anything.
A photo of her and her brother. So that was
from Australia. It's been a whirlwind, and we've felt every emotion possible, both despair and gratitude.
As residents continue to grapple with the fallout from the wildfires, SoCal Edison could be held accountable for the Eaton fire. State agencies are looking into whether Edison's equipment ignited the Eaton fire. If so, it would be responsible for billions of dollars in losses suffered by fire victims and insurance companies. All right, let's get to our all-important weekend first alert weather, and we talk a lot about what it's going to look like this Bay Area weekend, and also the spring forward. Move those clocks
we
forward.
lose an hour's sleep.
Yes.
Okay, but I like the later sunset times
So it's
for sure.
usually the microwave you wake up to that's not working.
Right. If you have a clock on your stove,
that's
going to be
your car.
The clock may be in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Some cars set it ahead, some cars don't.
And how many of you have just kept the old time and then you're just waiting for it to catch up?
Or, enlist like your kids or grandkids or a
Usually
niece or a
that's the
nephew,
case,
like, hey,
too.
fix this. I don't know what I'm doing.
I start just pushing buttons.
That's
Anyway.
eventually yields some kind of result. May not be the one you want.
Right.
Yeah. How did the car blow up? I don't know. She's just pushing buttons. Let's take a look at what's happening weather-wise as we head into the weekend. We're in a calm weather pattern. There's a storm system out over the Pacific, but it's going to be kind of parked in place over the next couple of days, and eventually it's actually going to dig in down to the south and send some showers into Southern California Monday and Tuesday. Showers. I don't think they're going to have enough rain for a significant mudslide or debris flow threat, but that's something that's going to be pretty much concern with every system that sends any moisture into the southern half of the state. Our turn for rain is going to arrive once we hit the middle of next week with a low-end atmospheric river probably headed our way by Wednesday. We'll talk more about that in a second. First, let's focus on the pleasant weather that's in place right now. We'll look outside from Salesforce Tower, looking down towards Coit Tower and the Ferris wheel. Temperatures are in the 50s across the board, anywhere from 53 in San Francisco to 57 degrees for the least cool spot in Concord. But with clear skies and light winds, those temperatures are going to be dropping off pretty quickly as we head through the rest of the night. And we will see some fog developing later tonight into early tomorrow morning, especially closer to the coast, and some of that sneaking through the Golden Gate and inside the Bay, even a little bit of it making its way into the inland valleys. But once the sun comes up before 7 o'clock tomorrow, then we're going to be seeing the fog dissipate quickly, and temperatures will warm up from a rather chilly start. Again, not many factors holding much warmth near ground level, so near the Bay and along the coast, temperatures will stay in the low to mid 40s, but farther inland, we're only talking about mid 30s to start the day in the North Bay valleys. Those will be some of the cold spots on the map. But it's not going to be a whole lot warmer east of the Oakland Hills. Mid to upper 30s for Concord, Antioch, and Livermore. Temperatures in the Santa Clara Valley more likely to stay at least near, maybe slightly above 40 degrees in San Jose, but down into the 30s around Morgan Hill. You'll make up for it tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures running a few degrees above normal. In fact, 5 degrees above normal in San Jose at 70. The rest of us in the mid to upper 60s inland with low to mid 60s around the Bay and only upper 50s along the coast. But these numbers, again, within 5 degrees of what's typical for early March. Maybe a degree or two cooler for Sunday, but no major changes as we hit the second half of the weekend. The major changes will wait until the middle of next week. So let's talk about the approach of that next rain chance. And we're still looking at our side-by-side forecast models, and they're still in remarkably good agreement from Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, keeping that first storm system down to our south. That's the shower activity headed for Southern California. and they both agree that that next rain chance arrives on Wednesday. They're even starting to come into pretty good agreement regarding the specific arrival time of the heaviest rain, midday into the afternoon on Wednesday, with some gusty winds likely as well, maybe some 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts with this low-end atmospheric river. They agree, once again, that there are going to be some lingering showers on Thursday. That's going to be light to moderate rainfall. Here's where they disagree. We wind the clock forward into next Friday. American forecast model starts to dry things out. European model sends another wave of rain into the Bay Area, and I think that looks like the more likely scenario at this point. It's not etched in stone, but the Weather Prediction Center agrees. When you add up both systems together, we're talking about generally an inch or two of rain from Wednesday through Friday of next week, but some higher amounts in the North Bay and, of course, in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And it's all about in how short a time frame the bulk of this rain falls in terms of whether we'll see any flooding potential. It's too soon to speculate on that. It's just something we're going to have to watch as we head through next week, and we still have several days to kind of keep an eye on that part of the forecast. Let's check out the 7-day outlook. A pleasant weekend. Enjoy that while it's here. Temperatures really aren't going to be bad Monday and Tuesday, just a gradual increase in cloud cover, and then the rain and wind arrive and the colder temperatures arrive down into the middle portion of the 50s inland by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So still about a 10 to 15 degree difference from the coolest to warmest locations over the weekend. We'll narrow that down to about a 3 or 4 degree difference by Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So bayside temperatures go from the mid 60s to the mid 50s. Coastal temperatures don't change a lot, from near 60 down to the lower half of the 50s. Everybody's in for that rainy pattern for at least a few days late next week. Jules?
Paul, thank you. And coming up, a San Francisco high school is ready for a game they had circled on their calendar since this time last year. Rematch.
Hey, Johnny Mosley here. Before you pack up your boards and load up your Toyota, let's have a glance at conditions in the Sierra. The Toyota Tower Report is dialed in. Let's get over to the map.
No significant additional snow over the last 24 hours for the Sierra resorts, but these are the amounts that added up earlier in the week, and that's more than enough to freshen up the slopes. So conditions are looking good this weekend, and the weather will be cooperative as well. No problems on the roads, and things are looking nice once you actually get to the mountains. Plenty of sunshine both Saturday and Sunday. Overnight low temperatures chilly in the low 20s, but daytime highs making it up to the low to mid 40s. Looking ahead to next week, it's interesting. A pair of significant storms will dump several feet of snow in the Sierra from Wednesday through Friday. So if you're thinking ahead to St. Patrick's Day weekend, be ready for some difficult travel conditions in that time frame. Let's just worry about that next week. In the meantime, we'll keep you updated here in the Toyota Tahoe Report.
San Francisco's Reardon High School is one of the best boys basketball teams in the entire country, and now their ultimate goal is within reach. Matt Lively has the story.
It has been more than 20 years since the Reardon boys basketball team has won a state title, but loaded with talent, this team has a good chance to do it.
I would say this is the best Reardon team.
Head coach Joey Curtin doesn't mince words when talking about the current Crusaders.
The numbers speak for themselves. I mean, they've not let up all year, and I don't think there's really any debate.
Reardon is the 1 seed in the CIF Open Division Tournament. They're coming off a regular season where they beat their league opponents by an average of 38 points a game. They made their contest a bit boring.
Not that fun, honestly.
Nez Aminike is one of a handful of guys who have Division I offers on this team.
Historically, we are one of the best, WCAL team. Everybody plays together.
One of their leaders is Jazir Rinsher. The Texas A&M commit thinks the talent on their own court is what makes them so good.
I feel like the practice is harder than the game, so that makes life easier, you know?
Rinsher and Aminike were a part of a group last year that lost in the regional final to rival Salesian.
You know, I had one of the worst games I feel like I ever played, so that and letting my seniors down, my brother was a senior, it was a lot of emotions for me. So, you know, I just want to come back this year and I never want to feel that pain again.
Revenge is brewing. The Crusaders will face the Pride on Saturday in the regional semifinals.
I just want to whoop their butt and send them home like they sent me home last year. So that would be a great feeling.
Beating Salesian is just the first step towards a state title. They haven't won a championship since 2002. And while this team has the stats and accolades, they can't be the best in Reardon history until they finish the ultimate job.
The main goal is just win a state title. That's like winning the NBA championship for high school. So that's everybody's goal, and I would love to have that under my belt.
After a bye in the first round, it would take 3 wins for the Crusaders to raise that elusive banner.
The rematch. Get ready, get set, go. It was a mad dash for deals at the Bay Area Costco, the new one. So what were shoppers putting in their carts? We'll take a look when we come back. The doors are open at the Bay Area's newest Costco. Hundreds rushing in politely into the store in Brentwood to get their hands on some grand opening deals. So we were curious what people were after. So here's what they told us.
A whole lot of nothing that I need. Just extra dishes, food, seafood.
What are we gonna buy? Probably, probably get some eggs. I love the sliced ham. See what samples they have.
Costco got some of the best tequila if you guys don't know. You don't always have to go top shelf because it's not always the good stuff. This is the good stuff.
I saw Hokas in some of the carts, a lot of booze, and eggs, shoes and booze. And that's your news. All right, thanks for watching us. Remember to spring forward late Saturday night, like at 2 a.m. Move your clock forward. Thanks so much for watching. To view more content like this, we've selected some videos we think you'll enjoy. So please be sure to hit like and then click the link in the left-hand bottom corner to subscribe.